and welcome to this very first Nature of Reality talk. This is, I've had this sense of wanting to do these style of talks for a very long time, and I've been letting it marinate within my soul, within my beingness. And today I felt the green light to really step forth and share the perspectives that I've been experiencing in my own life for some time. First and foremost, learning these perspectives and then actually living them, embodying them, watching the truth of them in my physical nature of reality. So that is what I'm here to begin to share today. I felt inspired on short notice to go live and to begin to share what's been on my heart for some time. And so here I am. So jumping into it, the mirror nature of reality. Now, this is something that many are aware of in the field of, or the study, the research of metaphysics, is the mirror nature of reality. And what that means is that the physical reality that I see as I'm looking out my window, as I'm using this computer, this is a hologram. The nature of reality is holographic and it's made of energy. More specifically, the way I'm aware of it is it's made of light, light as energy. And so when we look at things like atoms and molecules, what I see is light taking the form of energy, and then we give it labels. So the reason that's important is that the hologram, the holographic nature of reality, the mirror nature of reality, is used to mirror back one's own consciousness. Now, there is a collective reality that many people are aware of. You could call it the world stage. And then what I've come to become aware of is that everyone actually has their own bubble reality, if you will. They're walking through their own projection of consciousness, projected for them to see with their eyes, to be able to touch with their hands. And again, it's all light energy, energy or light, whichever one you want to use, taking forms and offering back reflections, just like a mirror would. And why is this important? Because I personally feel that it's time for humanity. There's an opportunity for humanity, I'll say, to recognize what it really is, where it really comes from, and the power that it has from within. And what I mean by the power from within is that there's this inner world that consciousness is aware of. There's a state of awareness that is aware of this inner world where there is thoughts, where there is feelings, where there is emotions. These are all invisible to the eye, however, they are felt. They are felt internally. And these, the nature of one's inner world, is being reflected back by the hologram, by physical reality. Now, I know that may be a stretch if this is the first time you've ever heard something like this explained, if you've ever heard reality described like this. I know it may be a stretch, and trust me, in my own journey, I had to go through layers of releasing doubt, releasing doubt, releasing doubt about the true nature of reality, because at the core of it, what I've realized is that when the true nature of reality is remembered by an individual, by a collective, whatever, there's now a there's now responsibility for one's own inner world. And I don't mean that in like a disciplinary way. I mean that in the inner world can be cultivated. It can be, once it's paid attention to, things can be released, things can be transmuted, things can be let go of. So, for instance, if there is anger that's being held on to towards a specific person, towards a specific group of people, that anger that's taking up space in the inner world and the inner state, I have no doubt will be reflected back to that individual in one way or another. And that reflection in their experience of physical reality could look like a person that enters their world, like a regular character in their world, if you will, that is very angry. That it's very clear that they're holding on to anger, resentment. They get furious about a certain person, they get furious about a certain group of people, maybe. And the person who's observing this character, this angry character, if you will, that's entered their world, may go, wow, they're so angry. I can't believe how angry they are. Like, it's actually kind of unsettling how angry they are. If it were me observing this, I would, because this reflection, this person, this character that's now in my world, because it stands out to me, because it's very like, holy cow, there's a lot going on there, I would take that as an opportunity to say, wow, am I still holding anger somewhere? Because from my experience, why else would that character be so obvious in my world? Because I've come to understand the holographic nature of reality, the mirror nature of reality, and I've recognized that nothing is an accident, nothing is coincidence, nothing is coincidence. Everything is orchestrated by the greater me. You can call that the soul me, if you will. The soul me sees my entire life. It sees all the possibilities, all the probabilities of my life. You could call it the mountaintop version of me that's looking down on all the potential choices I can make, all the potential paths I could go down. And it's offering intuitive guidance, which I experience in my heart. So it gives me quiet nudges. It does not shout. It's very simple. It might be like a go left, go right. Not this movie. That movie would be better for you. The guidance is very simple, very grounded, very clear. It's not like the head, which can be the head. The head can be arguing with itself. No this, no that. That's where it can be, very complicated. Whereas the heart is very simple, like go left or not that film. This film will be better for you. So my soul, the wider mountaintop version of me, you could say looking down at my life and all the possibilities. It's not, better in me in the sense that it's looking down. It's just, it has that higher vantage point. So it's able to see all the potential avenues and pathways. It not only speaks through my heart, but it speaks through the reflective nature of reality. So once I'm aware of something that maybe I feel is good for me, maybe a certain path, then I'll start to get reflections, in my outer world that confirm what I'm already feeling to be true. For instance, these talks have been on my heart for some time, and I wanted it to be the right time before I began to share, because I know there are some people that are very aware of this information that are also having this experience of reality. And I know for others, it could be completely brand new, like unlike anything they've ever heard before. So I wanted it to be the right time. I wanted to allow myself to be prepared to be able to transmit this information and let it find whoever it's meant to find. And in my preparation, I've gotten increasing confirmations in my outer world. For instance, just recently, I've had confirmations in my outer world that said things like, step up, you know, be the leader that you wish you had. What does that mean to me? It means share the things that I would have wanted to know 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 13 years ago. That's when this all began for me. 13 years ago, I really began looking at what is all this? What is reality? How does it work? Who am I? Why am I here? That began 13 years ago for me. And it's been an incredible journey. I've had to release a lot of fears, a lot of doubts, a lot of aspects of myself that didn't allow me to grasp this information fully. And so it's been a journey. And more recently, the confirmations in my world have been like, basically, you're ready for this. It's time. You can begin to speak what you're aware of. And the reason, again, that I'm speaking what I'm aware of is because I care about humanity. Humanity is beautiful and it deserves the best. And the thing I don't feel that humanity realizes is the holographic mirror nature of reality, and how the outer world that we perceive is mirroring back all aspects of ourself. So aspects that we refer to as positive and aspects that may be deemed as negative. And I'm not going to lump these aspects in a category that says negative. They may be aspects that are tough to face, because it could be that really disgruntled, angry aspect of ourself that we'd rather not look at, that we'd rather say, no, oh, I don't have any anger going on. And yet, deep down, buried, pushed away, there may actually be deep anger going on. And that doesn't really, well, there's nothing wrong with that, so to say. It also can be very hindering in a person's life. I mean, think about it. If something triggers that person, all of a sudden they can be having an outburst out of nowhere. And that can be really frightening to people that are in the surrounding environment. So it doesn't really serve in the sense of, if someone's really wanting to be their natural self, which to me would be at peace, relaxed, present in the moment, you know, having respect for themselves, learning how to respect others, and learning how to have differences, and navigate all of that and be peaceful and calm and be peaceful and calm about all of that. Like a sudden burst of anger, to me, that just doesn't really serve, what a person can truly allow their life to be, what they can allow themselves to be in the long run, if they really want to evolve as a soul, evolve as, a conscious person. And so these things, when the time is right, I feel the soul will show us what is ready to be seen, so that we have the opportunity of, do you still want to carry this, or are you ready to let this go? And to me, that would be the purpose of, let's say, an angry character showing up in the external world. It's very noticeable to the point where someone goes, "Oh my gosh, they're so angry. I can't even handle this." Again, if it were me, I would say, well, why is this in my world? Why is this person shown up? And why am I noticing their anger so much? I would use that as an opportunity to look inward and, reflect, do I have this going on with me? Because again, these aspects, which I'll give them the term shadow aspects. Again, I don't see them as bad. I see them as disconnected parts of self that have been shunned, parts of self that have been dismissed, that have been told you're not good enough. So, for instance, a lot of people might have heard when they were younger that anger is bad, anger is not allowed, you shouldn't be angry, it's not okay to be angry, might have been scolded for being angry. And now they don't allow themselves to connect to that piece of themselves. They still are saying, no, that's not allowed, that's not okay. And I can tell you from my own experience that, at least in my experience, there's a way to experience anger and not act on it. There's a way to experience anger and, for me, feel it and let it pass. There may be something that's seen on the world stage that is very disheartening to see, and that may cause anger to rise. Like, I'm so upset that that's going on, for instance. And in my experience, anger can be felt without being acted on. And when it's felt consciously, it can pass. Just, it can be a wave of emotion that passes without any action being taken on it. Just felt and allowed to pass. But some people may not even allow that for themselves, because, again, they were told when they were younger that, anger is not okay. So they may not know how to process that emotion. They may not know how to process that feeling and even allow themselves to feel it in a stable way where it can just be felt and to pass. And so this is just an example, because anytime something stands out to me in my physical experience that really catches my attention, I take that as an invitation to go deeper, to look within, because I ask the question, why is this being shown to me? Why is this standing out in my reality? And then I use that as an opportunity for personal growth, for soul expansion, because if it's being shown to me, there's a reason it's being shown to me. It's inviting me to go deeper. And again, it can be really pleasing things too, like all the confirmations that I mentioned in me feeling ready to begin speaking openly about the things that I remember, the things that I've experienced in my own life. And I'll share that this mirror aspect of reality is not new to me. I've known about it for many, many years now. However, as I've accepted the mirror nature of reality, the reflections have become more and more apparent to where I see them all the time, not only reflecting aspects of where I can allow more healing and wholeness within myself. I'm talking about like energetic, emotional healing and wholeness within myself. Not only do these reflections help me see what I can release, what no longer serves me, like emotions that I can let go of that are hindering my personal growth and my soul expansion, but they also show me many, many lovely things, like, again, confirmations, showing me what I'm ready for, confirming things that excite me, confirming paths that, are promising for me because they light me up. And I see them everywhere. Like I see them in nature. I've seen literally wildlife reflecting things back to me, showing me what I need to know next in the present moment of now. And while I'm mentioning the present moment of now, I'll share that that's where, for me, the reflections are noticeable. Because if I'm distracted and I'm in my head and I'm scattered and I'm not present, I can be easily missing reflections, confirmations, or invitations to go deeper in my reality because I'm not present. I'm up here. I'm not even aware, if I'm not even aware of what's around me, I'll miss the mirror nature of reality. And that used to be me. I never really saw it before when I was much younger, like in my 20s, because I was so in my head. I was so distracted. I had a lot of worry going on, a lot of stress going on. So I wasn't present and I wasn't able to see how life was serving me with these reflections. However, as I've gone on my own conscious journey and have been able to relax into the present moment and relax about life more and more and more and more. And I'm here. I'm actually here now in this moment. My senses are here. My mind is here. My vision is very aware. My ear is very attuned to the present moment. I'm able to see the reflections everywhere that are wanting to serve me. And I'll segue into that the mirror is designed to serve. It's serving everyone all the time. I have no doubt. And the reason I say that is because it's serving me all the time. It's showing me everything I need to know about my path. Again, whether it's the confirmations or the invitations to go deeper, it's always reflecting back like, here's what you need to know now. Here's what will be helpful to you for you to remember now. Here's a confirmation that'll really serve you now. And I see them everywhere. I see them in movies, I see them in TV shows, I hear them in songs, I overhear them in conversations that I'm just passing by, in nature, through wildlife, like, on social media, literally everywhere. And the synchronicity of them, the timing of them, the flow, the organization is astounding because I see by my own experience that it's not random. None of it is random. Information comes very sequentially, very organized because I'm paying attention and I've shown life, I've shown my soul that I'm willing to listen and I want to experience more of what I'm really here for, more of what I really came to earth for. And part of it is speaking on these things because the nature of reality has fascinated me for forever. I started asking big questions when I was 11. I didn't really begin my searching, my seeking journey till I was about 28. However, I did start asking the big questions at 11 because I just wanted to understand. I knew it was more than just a big mystery. I knew that there was information that I could remember, and I have remembered so much by my own journey of searching and seeking, and it's all been remembered from within because the soul already knows this stuff. It's the mind that got lost, if you ask me. The mind got so distracted and all of the shoulds that were absorbed throughout life, from other people, from cultures, from societies. The mind got so absorbed in all the shoulds and the pressures, and this is who you need to be, and this is what your life needs to look like, and it absorbed all of that, which is so distracting. And when all of that is going on and so distracting, and people, and I was living from pressure, I was living from pressure of who I should be, what my life should look like, I wasn't really connected to my heart. And the answers about life, about reality, have been remembered, have been presented to me from my heart. And I had to get quiet enough to hear my heart. I had to slow down enough to be able to listen. And then my heart began to connect the dots. And again, this is over 13 years. More and more dots connected. And then when I became mentally aware of certain aspects of reality, then the experiences, the physical experiences began to show up to confirm what I was first becoming mentally aware of. Again, my day to day is reflections all throughout my day, all of them serving me, all of them helping me grow, expand, become more of who I desire to be, who I came here to be. And so I'm sharing this because it's available to anyone. I mean, I've mentored and been a guide for other people, where I've shared, this type of metaphysical information, and I've been able to watch how their lives have gotten better over time. It usually takes some time. However, when I was mentoring, when I was, acting as a mentor, I did watch these people come back to me and go like, "Oh my gosh, this is changing. This is getting better, and you'll never believe what happened." And it's because these people were beginning to look inside. They were beginning to look at the things they were holding on to, emotional things they were holding on to, that was just, if you ask me, like weighing their experience of life down. And I don't say that in a judgmental way. It's just what heavy emotions tend to do. They tend to weigh the experience of life down. And I see, one of my gifts is I see into people, I see into their experiences, I see into their energy. And I see people around me all the time, and it's very clear to me what life is offering them, how life is knocking on their door, what life is trying to tell them in a lot of cases. I don't stop people and go like, "Here's what you shouldn't," because I respect other people's experiences, and I also respect that, it's not my job to go around being like, "Here's what I see and here's what you." No, other people are on their own journey. They have the ability to ask their own questions. If they're curious about me, if they notice, like that I tend to be very easygoing and peaceful, and they want to ask me, like, "Oh, you seem so calm all the time," or "It feels really good when you're around, like, what's going," then I'm happy to share. But I don't go around just like, like telling people like, "Here's what I," because that's not my job. It's not my, it's just that I've become so attuned to how reality reflects back invitations through personal experiences and through events in one's life, that things just stand out to me. And so not only do I see it in my own life very clearly, I see it in others' lives very clearly. And again, when I have had the opportunity to be a mentor, I've been very pleased to watch people say like, "Yeah, this stuff works," like going into my inner world, looking at energies, releasing things that no longer serve, it works. And then, the exciting part is when their life starts to reflect things back to them differently. Because once things that no longer serve have been released, life doesn't need to reflect that back in the same way. There is the occurrence where there may be a deeper layer of that same thing that gets reflected back later. But usually, after one layer is released, there tends to be like a break or a wave of, just new, more pleasant reflections. And then if there is a deeper layer later on, that usually will be reflected. But what I've noticed is there tends to be space in between the layers, if you will, to give some breathing room. And so, again, I'm sharing this because I know what humanity is capable of. And if humanity understood and knew the nature of reality, we would all realize that things like peace is not outside of us. A peaceful earth experience is not outside of us, it's inside of us. This is something I received in meditation many years ago. I said, "When will the world know peace?" And it was a very deep, immersive meditation experience. And at the end of the meditation, I heard in my heart, I heard like an audible voice, but in my heart, it was like a whisper. It said, "The world will know peace when each individual knows peace." And these answers always make so much sense, because how could there be peace otherwise? If even one person is not at peace, that's not truly world peace. And so everyone's inner world is the garden where peace can blossom, where can begin to flourish. And it takes a willingness. Each person's on their own journey. But experiences of more visible love on the world stage, of more visible gratitude and sharing and getting along, these aren't out there. The What's out there is a current reflection of what's in here on a collective level. Again, I'll say it one more time. What's out there visible by the eyes, in the media, on the world stage, are reflections of what's going on for a mass majority of the collective on the planet. A lot of people don't really know peace. Peace is there underneath all the chaos they feel inside. I have no doubt about that because that's been the case for me. However, it's each individual's readiness to examine that chaos. Why is it there? What is it trying to tell them? What wants to be released? What no longer serves? And underneath that, I feel that's where the peace exists. So as each person feels ready to drop into their inner world, to see what their soul has been trying to show them for a very long time, to see it with grace, to see it with non-judgment, to see it with compassion, as the layers and layers and layers of all the things that have been weighing humanity down, the grief, the guilt, the shame, the denial of self, the deprecation of self, as all these things are released and transmuted and let go of, there's space for new reflections. There's more space for peace. There's more space for kindness. There's more space for sharing. There's more space for collaboration because all the heavy stuff has been transmuted layer by layer by layer. And that's how it works. When space is available and there's a desire to experience more harmony, more peace, more gratitude, more collaboration, more being in tune with reality itself, when there's a desire and there's space, those things can come in and those things can flourish. So that is why I'm sharing everything that I'm sharing right now. It's been on my heart for some time, and today felt like the day that it was time to begin sharing from my heart and to begin expressing what I've seen in my own experience. These are my experiences, and that's why they're true, because I've experienced them. And I'm happy to share for anyone who's curious, anyone who might want to listen. I know I've shared a lot that is very deep, maybe coming across as very profound, and so there may be lots of questions that arise. And I do see myself doing more talks like this. I do see myself starting to share more in the ways that feel inspired and intuitive as the days progress along here. And so I'm going to stay attuned to my guidance on what the next best way is for me to share and to begin to express more of these things. If there are questions coming up, what I would offer is that life is not separate from any of us. Life is not separate from me. It's not separate from anyone. The holographic nature of reality is here to serve. It's here to offer confirmations. It's here to offer synchronicities. It's here to offer invitations to go deeper and to explore. That might be new to someone who might be finding this, looking at their inner world and understanding that might all be new. And if it is new, that's okay. There are so many avenues these days of learning how to explore the inner world in a way that feels harmonious and safe. I'm not going to list them all because there's just so many. What I do feel is if there's a sincere desire of wanting to understand oneself, to know oneself more deeply, to know the greater picture of consciousness more deeply, if there's a sincere desire, I have no doubt that that individual will be guided to the next material, the next book, the next PDF, whatever it may be. That's how it worked for me. I started with books. I started with checking out books from the library that I found myself led to and very attracted to, ordering books that I felt very attracted to at the time that really began to show me more about who I am as eternal consciousness, how eternal consciousness is experiencing itself as human, having this human experience. And then later on came the nature of reality in terms of the mirror effect, Um, Synchronicity basically being the true nature of reality, how synchronicity works. This all came in time. I'm just saying that I have no doubt that if someone is truly interested in knowing more about who they are, what all of this is, that the next material, the next book will present itself. Because when my desire was sincere, the next book, the next teaching, it always showed up, and it always showed up on time. It always showed up when I was ready for it. And it always helped me to experience more of who I am and what reality is more deeply. So I have no doubt in the way that I've seen life work, that I've observed that life works. And so I trust that life is holding everyone and always knows the next nudge or the next piece of information to present to someone. I have no doubt about that. Thank you so much, whether you have watched this now or later. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope that something has been reflected to you that is of meaning, that it is helpful on your path. And if not, that's okay too. This is just something I can no longer keep to myself, if that makes sense. I've been guided, I've been waiting, and it's been shown to me that now is the time to begin speaking and sharing. So thank you again for tuning in. Much love. Namaste, which means the light within me recognizes the light or the awareness within you. So much love and namaste. And maybe I'll see you soon.